You think skipping church is harmless, a little extra sleep, Saturday night bleeds into Sunday morning and Mass feels like a chore. But in 1856 in Turin, a priest named Giovanni Melchiorre Bosco saw something that made hardened criminals weep. He saw where the souls go, not metaphor, not parable. He documented it, wrote it down, told his boys exactly what he witnessed when young men and women traded the altar for the dance hall. Who was Don Bosco? Why did his visions terrify entire cities? What did he see happen to those kids who chose parties over prayer? The boy had a photographic memory and a hunger. He wanted to be a priest, but had no money. Worked as a tailor, a shoemaker, a stable hand. Entered seminary at 20. Ordained June 5th, 1841 in Turin. He was 25. The city was a mess. Industrial revolution grinding. Street kids everywhere. Orphans. Pickpockets. Boys sleeping in alleys. It is the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you are hearing this from. This script is researched and factual using sources from the biographical memoirs of Saint John Bosco, written by Giovanni Battista Lemoyne, who lived with Don Bosco for decades and documented his daily life and visions in 17 volumes approved by the Vatican, and from the original Italian transcripts of Don Bosco's dream journals, held in the Salesian archives in Turin, which contain handwritten accounts of his prophetic dreams, including the exact vision we are covering. Now back to the information. It was part chapel, part trade school, part home. He taught the boys shoemaking, tailoring, printing, fed them, housed them, held Mass every morning. Sunday Mass was sacred, mandatory. He told them, if you miss Sunday, you miss everything. A man in shining clothes told him to win them not with blows, but with gentleness and charity. That vision shaped his entire life. Over 70 years, he had more than 160 documented dreams. Many predicted deaths. Others showed the future of his order. Some revealed hidden sins, and a few showed him hell. The oratory had 350 boys living there full-time, and hundreds more coming for classes and Mass. It was a Sunday evening. He gathered the boys after dinner in the main hall, told them he had something to share. They knew when Don Bosco said that it meant a dream. They went silent. He began. Most of the boys lined up and entered the chapel, but a group of about 20 stayed outside. He recognized their faces. They were laughing, joking. One said, Mass is boring. Another said, we went out last night and we are tired. A third said, God does not care if we miss one Sunday. They wandered off. Some went back to bed. Some went to a cafe. Some went to the river. The first boy who went back to bed fell asleep. Suddenly the room went dark. A figure appeared at the foot of the bed. Not a man, something else. It had the shape of a person, but its face was twisted. It leaned over the boy and whispered, you chose sleep over your Creator. The boy woke up screaming but could not move. The figure pressed a hand on his chest. Bosco said the boy aged in seconds. His skin turned gray. His eyes sank. He gasped and died. Bosco saw the soul leave the body. It did not rise. It fell. Through the floor, down into a pit that opened beneath the bed. The boy was 17. They all laughed. Suddenly the wine in their cups turned black. They did not notice. They kept drinking. Within minutes they started choking. Their throats closed. They clawed at their necks. Bosco said their tongues swelled and turned purple. All four collapsed, dead within 5 minutes. Their souls did not rise. They fell through the cafe floor into darkness. The oldest was 19. The youngest was 15. He said he followed two boys to the river. They were skipping stones, talking about a girl from a dance. One said, forget Mass. Let us go find her. They crossed a bridge. Halfway across, the bridge cracked. Both boys fell into the water. The river was shallow, 3 feet, but they could not stand. Something held them under. Bosco said he saw hands pulling them down from the riverbed. They drowned in 3 feet of water. Both were 16. Their souls sank into the mud. It fell through the broken stage into a chasm that opened beneath. He was 18, died on the grass. Her soul fell into the earth. She was 20. Down into an alley, down into a hole. The boy was 16. Dante's inscription, the gate to hell, traded the Eucharist for entertainment. But the walls were slick with something black. Every time they climbed, they slid back into the flames. Now you pay. If you value documented mystical history and prophetic visions like this, subscribe. It is the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you are hearing this from. Now back to the information. Stuck in eternal regret, mouth open, screaming but no sound. A demon held a mirror, forcing her to look. She tried to close her eyes but could not. The demon said, you loved your beauty. You loved attention. Now you look forever. Throwing punches. His strength meant nothing. They laughed, broke his arms, broke his legs, let them heal, broke them again, over and over. A demon said, you trusted your strength. Try to fight your way out now. Brain burning from inside, thoughts racing, questions with no answers. A demon read from his philosophy books, each sentence twisted, each argument mocked. The demon said, you trusted your intellect. Think your way out now. I thought God would understand. I thought I was having fun. I did not know. I did not believe. I did not care. And now it is too late. The figure said, no, hell is eternal. No second chance after death. The choice is made in life, heaven or hell, salvation or damnation, no middle ground. These young people died with unconfessed mortal sin. They knew Sunday Mass was obligatory. They chose to skip it. This is the consequence. The Eucharist is not a suggestion. Missing Mass without serious reason is mortal sin. Dying in mortal sin means hell. Tell them while they still have time. Tell them before they choose the party over the altar one too many times. Many went to confession that day. Some planning to skip Mass changed their minds. Some living in sin repented. Another collapsed in the park. Doctors found no cause. The third died in his sleep, age 18, no prior illness. After his death, the church used these records as evidence for his canonization. He had another vision 3 years later, 1859. Worse. He saw young people at a party, Saturday night, dancing, drinking, laughing. Midnight came. They kept dancing. Someone said, it is Sunday now. Skip Mass. They left, walked through streets. Suddenly the ground opened. All 15 fell into a pit. Bosco saw them land in fire. Demons waiting. Their souls ripped from bodies before they hit ground. They died on impact. Souls went straight to hell, no confession, no last rites, no final prayer. They chose the party, died in sin, that was it. Said nothing. The family knew. Lunch with friends. At 2 p.m. she collapsed, dead. Aneurysm, instant, no warning, no confession, no priest. You knew, you were taught, you were warned, you chose. This is the consequence. In 1867 he had a vision showing the moment of judgment. He saw a young man die, age 19, skipped Mass 2 years, died in carriage accident, neck broken, instant. Bosco saw the soul separate. It stood confused. Then light appeared, bright, terrifying. The soul tried to run, could not move. The light grew, a voice spoke, come, be judged. A figure sat there, face too bright to see. The voice said, you were given life, faith, the church, sacraments, every chance to choose me. You rejected it. You chose comfort over obedience, pleasure over prayer, yourself over me. What do you have to say? I repent. Please give me another chance. The voice said, the time for repentance was in life. No second chances after death. You chose. Now face the consequence. He had more visions over years. 1872, 1876, 1881. All showed the same. Young people skipping Mass, young people dying unprepared, young people going to hell. Pattern never changed. Warning never changed. Choose Mass or risk everything. 213. He asked why so many. The figure in white said, these are young people in Turin who died in the last 10 years after habitually skipping Sunday Mass. 213 souls who chose parties over prayer. Most had stopped attending Mass before death. The number matched, 213. He presented findings to the Archbishop. The Archbishop ordered a campaign, preachers sent to every parish. Miss Mass at your own risk, die unprepared and face hell. Hundreds. They were stopped. An angel said you cannot enter. They said, why? We believed in God. We prayed. We tried to be good. The angel said you skipped Mass. You knew it was a mortal sin. You did it anyway. You died without confession. You cannot enter. They cried, begged, screamed. The angel said the law is clear. Mortal sin means hell. You chose. The gate closed. They fell. Said, this is my final warning. Tell the boys, tell the families, tell the church. Sunday Mass is not optional. It is a commandment. Skip it and you risk your soul. Die without confession and you face judgment. There is no mercy for those who knowingly reject God's law. He said, tell them I saw it. I saw where they go. I saw what happens. Tell them while they still have time. 50 years of ministry, thousands of boys saved, hundreds of visions. But the one that haunted him most was the vision of young people choosing parties over Mass, choosing temporary pleasure over eternal truth, choosing hell without realizing it until it was too late. He was beatified in 1929, canonized April 1st, 1934 by Pope Pius XI. The Vatican declared him a saint, a doctor of youth, a prophet, a man who saw what others could not see, a man who warned what others would not say. Critics called it manipulation. Defenders called it truth. But the facts remained. Bosco documented everything. Names, dates, deaths. The records exist. The Salesian archives in Turin hold the original manuscripts. 17 volumes, handwritten, detailed, cross-referenced with parish death records. He compared Bosco's accounts with historical death records in Turin from 1850 to 1888. He found that the sudden death rate among young people who stopped attending Mass was significantly higher than the general population. He could not explain it. No medical reason, no environmental factor, just a correlation. Those who skipped Mass died more often and more suddenly. Offray published his findings. The church took note. In 1963, another study was done. this time by a secular historian. He wanted to debunk the visions, prove they were exaggerations or fabrications. He spent 5 years in the archives, read every document, cross-checked every name, found something unexpected. The visions were accurate. Every death Bosco predicted happened. Every detail he described matched the records. The historian could not explain it. He published his findings. Concluded that Bosco either had genuine prophetic visions or had access to information that should have been impossible for him to know. Either way, the visions were not made up. Found testimonies from boys who witnessed the visions being told. Found medical records matching the deaths described. Found newspaper articles from the 1800s reporting sudden deaths of young people in Turin. The pattern held. The visions were real. 37 bodies, all young, all buried without markers, all dating to the mid-1800s. Forensic analysis showed most died suddenly. No signs of disease, no signs of injury, just death. The location matched one of Bosco's visions. He had said he saw a pit where the bodies of those who died unprepared were thrown. No funeral rites, no priest, no prayers, just buried and forgotten. Found records of families who refused to give their children Catholic burials because they had died while skipping Mass. Found documents showing the bodies were taken to a field outside the city and buried in a common grave. The field was later built over, forgotten. Until the construction crew found it, the bodies were exhumed, given proper burial. But the discovery confirmed what Bosco had seen. The pit was real. The deaths were real. The consequences were real. Stayed faithful because of him. The documentary included footage of the mass grave site, showed the bones, showed the records, showed the evidence. It shows copies of the vision manuscripts, shows the death records, shows the evidence. A sign above the display has a quote from Don Bosco. It says this in Italian then, in English. Sunday Mass is not optional. It is a commandment. Skip it at your own risk. Die unprepared and face judgment. I have seen where they go. I have seen what happens. Do not make the same mistake. The night he saw the souls fall. Went to meet friends. At 4 p.m., he collapsed on the street. Heart attack. He had 30 seconds of consciousness before death. He wanted to call for a priest, but he could not speak, could not move. Death came. His soul fell into darkness, into fire. Bosco said the young man's final thought was, I knew better. Now it is too late. Perfect contrition can save you even without a priest. But if you are in mortal sin and you wait until the moment of death to be sorry, it is too late. Contrition must come from love of God, not just fear of hell. A deathbed conversion out of pure terror is not enough. You must repent when you still have time to change, not when death is already taking you. Bosco said serious illness that makes it physically impossible to attend, caring for someone who is dying, being physically prevented by force, such as imprisonment, extreme weather that makes travel genuinely life-threatening. But being tired is not serious. Having to work is not serious unless your job is truly essential. Wanting to sleep in is not serious. Having guests is not serious. Going on vacation is not serious unless there is literally no Catholic church within reasonable distance. He said, if you can watch television on Sunday, you can go to Mass. If you can go to a restaurant, you can go to Mass. If you can go shopping, you can go to Mass. If you choose not to go, you are choosing mortal sin. Mother, father, 3 children, ages 10, 13, and 16. Sunday morning. The 16-year-old said he was tired, asked to skip Mass. The father said, fine, stay home. The mother said nothing. They went to Mass without him. The next Sunday, the 13-year-old asked to skip. Said she had homework. The parents said fine. Within 6 months, none of the children were going to Mass. The 16-year-old was now 26, married, had a child, never went to Mass, never prayed. He died in a factory accident. Age 32, crushed, instant death, no confession. Bosco said he saw the soul fall into hell. Then he saw the parents. They were in purgatory, not in hell, but in fire, purification fire, being punished for their negligence, for allowing their son to fall into mortal sin. Said parents who fail to bring their children to Mass share in the guilt. They will answer for it. If a child dies in mortal sin because a parent allowed them to skip Mass, the parent bears part of the blame. Years of purgatory, decades. The voice said, tell parents this. Their children's souls are their responsibility. If they love their children, they will drag them to Mass if necessary. Better a child angry at you on earth than a child damned in hell. They chose their children's souls over their children's comfort. The demon laughed, said you rejected God. You knew Sunday Mass was obligatory. You knew skipping it was mortal sin. Week after week, month after month, you chose comfort over obedience. Every Sunday you skipped Mass, you rejected sanctifying grace. You cut yourself off from God. When you died, you were still cut off. That is why you are here. She said, I did not think it was that serious. The demon said, ignorance is not an excuse when you were taught. You knew. You are guilty. She screamed. The demon walked away. Bosco said the woman is still screaming, will scream forever. He told this vision to young women who came to the oratory. Some cried. Some got angry. One said Don Bosco was trying to control them with fear. He said, "I am not trying to control you. I'm trying to save you. Fear of hell is rational when hell is real. If I saw you walking toward a cliff in the dark, would you call me controlling if I shouted a warning? This is the same. You are walking toward hell, and you do not realize it. I am shouting the warning. What you do with it is your choice." The rifle discharged. The bullet went through his chest. He died within seconds. Bosco said he saw the soul fall. The man had chosen the woods over the altar, died in that choice, paid for that choice forever. 2 months later, one of them died in a hunting accident, exactly as Bosco described. Shot himself, died instantly. The other men stopped laughing, started going to Mass. The fire in hell burns at a temperature that would instantly vaporize human flesh. But souls do not vaporize. They burn, forever. The pain is beyond anything experienced on earth, beyond any torture, constant, unending, no relief, just fire, forever. Skipped Mass for 4 years. Died in a swimming accident. He stood before the throne. A voice said, "You were given life, faith, the church, the sacraments. Every chance to choose me. What did you choose?" The young man said, "I chose myself. I chose comfort. I chose pleasure. I chose sleep. I chose everything except you." The voice said, "Then you have judged yourself." The throne disappeared. The young man fell. Bosco said he woke up with the young man's scream in his ears. It stayed with him for weeks. The natural result of choosing self over God, time over eternity, pleasure over truth. He died January 31st, 1888. His final words were about Mass. He said to the boys gathered around his bed, "Make sure you go to Mass every Sunday, no matter what. No excuses. Your soul depends on it." Then he closed his eyes, and he was gone. Translated into 42 languages, read by millions, used by priests around the world to emphasize the importance of Sunday Mass. The visions were studied, analyzed, verified. The church found them credible, authentic, prophetic. They found something unexpected. The rates were highest in regions where Mass attendance was lowest. The correlation was undeniable. Young people who did not go to Mass died more frequently and more suddenly than young people who did. The researchers could not explain it medically, could not explain it environmentally, could not explain it at all. They just documented it, published it, left it as a mystery, documented it, warned about it. 160 years before the study confirmed it. The souls fall, the pattern holds, the consequences are real.